Let's talk a little bit about the two different fronts available in the Carpe Diem dress. The Carpe Diem dress comes with an AB front, which has a single dart, and is generally the choice for somebody who wears very little bust cup at all, through a B or even a small C cup. The CD front is designed for people whose bust is a little bit fuller and larger and would wear perhaps a C or D or larger bust cup. Because we have only two fronts, you might need to do some finessing of either the AB or the CD front, depending on which one you choose, in order to get the bust line perfect on your body. We're going to do a long series of videos that have to do with bust adjustments. And what I want to talk to you about in this one is just how bust adjustments require you to understand both the length of the garment and the width of the garment. Now, I have my little mock-up here of the Carpe Diem dress. I made this for a friend. She's not exactly the size of the dress form, but she's similar. And she wears the CD front, and that is a great choice for her. And yet, it's not quite perfect, is it? On this dress form, this front seems a little loosey-goosey. You see that it's kind of droopy here below the dart, and it just feels like there's just a little too much in there. So the way that we would solve this problem is that we would pin a little bit out of the mock-up and through this dart. So it's not exactly eliminating the dart, but it's just taking a little bit of space out here. And I'm going to do it just here right across the front for you to see that is one side is going to look much more improved than the other. So you see, when we get that pinned out, this all looks a little bit smoother in the way that it comes into the body. And of course the pins make it look a little funky. But I know for a fact that this is an adjustment that really helps. And it's not that you can go down a whole size, because the CD front also has a little bit of extra width. And she couldn't live without the width that is in the CD front. That seems to be sitting pretty nicely on her. It's just this length here that seems to be a little bit of an excess, and we're going to just take that out. And in a future video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Understanding that bust adjustments happen both in width and length will help you with the finessing of your bust itself. The other things you have to remember when you're making bust adjustments in a garment that has as this does, a little scoop neckline. There's no front opening to be able to move around. You have to make sure that this fits well on the body. It's not loose. And so if it fits well, as this one does, the last thing you want to do is add in the center fold to get extra width. We don't need extra width in this, but in this situation, if you did need extra width, the place to add it would be here. And the way we would see it on the pattern is that this would be pulling this way. The gray lines would be skewing out. They would not be laying exactly properly. And so we don't need to do it here, but that's another choice. Adding in through here, and sometimes just in the bust area where that fullness is being experienced. So as we go through the different videos about the different bust adjustments, I want you to think about and teach your eyes to look for what those balance lines are doing and the grain lines in the grid of your mock-up, and where you can make the correction that's going to look best on you. Whether it's using the single dart and adjusting it, or the double dart and adjusting it. If you are using the CD front, you have to put both darts in. That's how the pattern has been developed. And with that, we're going to look at the patterns themselves, and I'll discuss this just a little bit more before we close the book on this topic and look at these bust adjustments on each individual video. As a visual extension of our conversation about the two different bust fronts and why you would choose one over the other, I am showing you the pattern for the AB front, which is right here, which has a single small dart in it, and the CD front, which is here, and it has two darts, as you see. And if we were to actually line up those two lower darts, you will see that the CD front is significantly longer from here to here than this one. And that is because when we're looking at the importance of the bust fitting into a garment, we have to consider, as we have already mentioned, both bust length and bust width. The fuller bust requires more length to go over the bust, and it requires more width to go around the bust. And so when you're adjusting for the bust to get a better fit in your Carpe Diem, you want to make sure that you're thinking both in terms of the length needed to accommodate the bust and the width needed to accommodate the bust. And so that is why we have two different fronts. And then you are able to manipulate those two fronts as needed to get the best bust front for you. So you might actually want to use the AB front and add a second dart into it, or use the CD front and adjust it in a certain way to accommodate your needs. To get additional width, where you need it on the side, and you would know that because the grain line would be skewing over to the edge of the pattern of the garment when you have your mock-up on, then you would swing out. So if you were in, say, the extra large, but you needed the bust adjustment of the large, you would use your curved ruler to find a way to get yourself there into the larger size through the bust and then back out. And as we look at the different bust adjustments, we'll review removing a dart, completely removing parts of a dart, amounts of dart, so that if you don't need the full 1 and a little bit more inches from the second dart being added completely, you can make one of these double darts a little bit smaller. Finessing and nuancing the dart so it fits you perfectly is a great thing. Remember that when you are working with your pattern and adjusting it, you want to make sure that you have on the bra that you like, that you're going to be wearing with the dress, so that the bust is in the place that you are going to be, you want it and need it. And the larger your bust is, the more important that conversation is to have. So remember, we have the AB front and the CD front, and if we stack them on top of themselves, you'll be able to see this too. You'll be able to see that move it this way, that we have in the CD front, we match up that balance line from there down. The patterns, the CD front pattern is wider, but is the same dimensionally otherwise. We have this pattern, when the grain lines line up, is wider, as you see, and it also is significantly longer to accommodate the bust. And again, I'm going to show you in the succession of videos a number of ways to nuance the bust so you get the fit that you want. Thanks for joining me for this little video conversation about the bust of the Carpe Diem dress, and whether you need the AB or the CD front pattern. If you've chosen one and you feel like it's not the right choice once you've made your mock-up, you can change, or you can just make the adjustments you need to fit the garment better on you using the pattern you started with. Pattern work is a journey, and you will be changing your pattern and adjusting it throughout your life if you continue to make Carpe Diems, and we sure hope you will. And so learning to do these adjustments and to understand the needs of bust adjustment is a really great tool for you as you move your garment sewing forward. So happy pattern adjusting and happy sewing.